consistently experiencing the same God. They're describing the same God. It doesn't matter where they are or what their expectation was. So, for instance, this one guy in Rwanda, fascinating story. His mother was a Hutu and his father was a Tutsi. So if you know anything about the Rwandan genocide, those were the two that killed each other. And his father was a sheikh and an imam in the Muslim religion. Mom was a prophetess of the native goddess Bako. And it's a long story, fascinating story. In the Rwandan genocide, his family got torn apart. His father gets put in prison, blames his mom, divorces his mom at age 8. He gets put out on the street, pretty much begging for food, ends up doing drugs and then dealing drugs to make money, and just, had been through, a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff, and then he ends up getting blood cancer, and he's dying of this blood cancer. They put him on palliative care. His father had tried to get the Muslims to, do their rituals and pray for him, and they put the Quran on his head and all this, and nothing worked. His mom went to, her goddess and tried all that. That didn't work. Her son's dying. She goes to the Anglican church because she had seen someone healed in the name of Jesus. And she was desperate. So she said, "Will you pray for my son in the name of Jesus?" And she was too, and they were fasting and praying for a week. Meanwhile, her son dies. So Swadik is his name. He dies, and he finds himself in this hellish place. Hellish near-death experiences are not uncommon, by the way. Of people reporting near-death experiences, 23% report hellish experiences.
Wow.
So I do a whole chapter in Imagine Heaven, kind of trying to make sense of all that, because you can't take the good and leave the bad. You got to make sense of both, right? So he starts off having this hellish experience in this room that he called like a slaughterhouse. And these 3 creatures, is all I can call them, attacking him. And when he said, into the room comes this man of light in a robe with a gold sash, and light just coming out of him, shooting into Swadeek's eyes, he said, and just going through my whole soul. And he held out his arms like this, and Swadeek saw the holes in his hands. And then he knew who it was, because Mel Gibson's The Passion of Christ had come to Rwanda, and he had seen it accidentally. And so Jesus says to him, "I died for mankind. You're among those I died for. Never deny it and tell it to everyone." He wakes up, sits up with a cloth over his face, and all these people just start screaming. And he looks down to his right, and there's a grave. And he didn't know what's going on. So it had been overnight, and they were at his burial. And he sits up, and he starts saying, "Jesus is here. Jesus saved me. Jesus is the one who brought me back." And all these Muslims are they're just freaking out. About half of them did come to faith in Jesus that day because they saw it. Today, he is an Anglican pastor who has had 7 attempts on his life. including his father trying to poison him. Because you can't convert in an Islamic country. And I talked to Swadik. I mean, he's a courageous young guy, and he's like, I asked him, are you afraid? And he's like, why would I be afraid? He brought me back from death, and he told me tell everybody, so he won't shut up.